So they get results because someone else has tested it.
Yeah.
Where the problem becomes is the second those campaigns slow down. What's next?
Yeah.
That's where like our experience comes in is we know what to do next.
Yeah.
They're like, oh God, it's not in the course. And then they panic. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Welcome to the latest episode of Over a Pint. This week, we're at Kathleen Black's Ultimate Team Summit here in Niagara, and due to technical difficulties, the first episode we filmed with Anthony Brown didn't end up airing, so we are going to redo it now and see how similar it ends up being. But for those of you who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself to the group, and then we'll get into the drinks.
Sure, yeah. So my name's Anthony Brown. I'm a real estate agent, real estate investor, real estate coach, motivational speaker, kind of anything.
Overall badass.
Yeah, just wherever I can get.
You know.
So, like, my big thing is I wake up every day and just try to help people. So I kind of just use real estate and speaking to just do that, to help people.
Perfect.
Kinda like
So
you.
why don't we introduce... So he's not drinking beer, so why don't you introduce what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm speaking today, so I'm responsible. So I chose a blonde roast from Starbucks.
In an
Over the pint cup, yeah.
Yeah, I am already done speaking, so I am drinking the Cheeky Bastard Stout by Nickelbrook. Let's give this a shot. I'm normally not a big stout guy, but I have it, so...
It's dark.
Yeah, stouts usually are.
Dark beer.
Yeah. So it's almost like I'm drinking coffee, too.
Kind of.
All right. Well, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, buddy.
So, you're in Halifax.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the industry?
So I started selling real estate in 2010, February of 2010, and kind of just went from there. I started my team in 2013.
So I know you have like one of the more interesting backstories to get into it. So normally we start like when you got into real estate.
Yeah.
I think we should take that step back so
Okay.
we can understand kind of the full story.
Sure. So, I mean, I fell in love with real estate when I was still in university. I bought a rental property with my dad and did some work to it and rented it out to some of my friends. And really, really loved real estate. And kind of always had it in the back of my mind that I would get into selling real estate. Like, I thought my real estate agent was super cool.
Yeah.
He drove a nice car. He wore nice suits. He was always on the phone, like, working on deals. Like, it seemed like a pretty cool gig. But I graduated from UNB in 2008 and went into the corporate world. So I was the senior manager for New Brunswick for a company called Sporty Kids Fitness, which was a super cool initiative. It was a kind of a new company. So I got in kind of at ground level. Yeah. And I mean, it was cool. Like, I was 24 years old. I was running a company. The provincial office was my apartment in New Brunswick, which was really cool. And then I was hit by a minivan and paralyzed in January of 2009. So I was walking up the side of the road on campus, and the guy was just playing with his radio and hit me. So I was paralyzed. And then after my recovery, like I was in the hospital for a long time. I was out of the hospital, and when it came time that I was going to be able to go back to work, I said, well, I want to sell real estate. Like, that's what it had always been in the back of my mind. I wanted to sell real estate. So I decided I was going to go for it. I didn't have a driver's license, so I spent most of my first year selling real estate riding the city bus.
Yeah.
So Metro Transit.
So how do you manage... Because like I'm thinking when I started selling, I did as many open houses as I can.
Yeah.
And I had all the boards. Those were a pain in the ass, even in a car. So how'd you go about it with taking the bus and doing or did you do open houses?
Yeah, so I did. In my first year, I did a lot of open houses, so a lot of Saturdays and Sundays. And I took the bus. So I took my 3 open house signs, my box of flyers, my briefcase, loaded everything onto the city bus, got dropped off at the closest bus station to the house that I was doing the open house at, and just did it. I mean, it was, I didn't have there was no other choice, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to sell real estate, that was how I had to do it. But I got some pretty funny looks from people, like who is this clown with these open house signs riding the bus?
Did you pick up any deals that way?
I never actually closed a deal from someone I met on the bus. And I never did.
Yeah, that would have been great. How'd you meet your realtor? He was riding the bus.
He was riding the bus. But you know what? It was funny because I used to worry about like how it would look when someone's real estate agent showed up on the bus to a showing, and I was kind of self-conscious of that for a while.
Yeah.
But once I got into it and people found out like why I was on the bus, they had a lot of respect for it, and it actually turned out to be like a really good way to kind of build trust with people.
Well, it's a level of dedication I don't think many people like have. Like a lot of people just use that as a reason to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't actually go out and do it.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're riding the bus. Like, what did you use? So you've done open houses because like now you're doing over 100 deals a year.
Yeah, the team does.
So how did you go from taking the bus? What led you to grow it to that size?
So I'm a big on observation. I like to observe people and learn from my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take me long to realize that there was a big difference between what the top people were doing in the industry or in my office at the time versus everyone else. So I kind of watched them and studied them and just did the things that they were doing. And then it kind of grew, so I got busier and busier. I got my driver's license back towards the end of my first year selling real estate. That helped.
Doesn't hurt.
Much easier when you have a car.
Yeah.
And then I got busier and busier and busier, and it got to a point where I had my first child, or I was about to have my first child, and I wanted to free up a little more time. So there was a young guy in our office who was just a really sharp kid. He actually came out of selling cell phones, I think, and got into real estate. And I kind of said, like, hey, would you be interested in working with some of my buyers? Kind of brought him on, not as a team, but brought him on like more of a buyer's agent. Yeah. So he was doing that, and then I had licensed assistants. So one of my biggest problems when I started in real estate was I hired a version of myself for every role I had on my team, which wasn't really a team at the time. So I had 3 licensed assistants over the years who are all now like rock star real estate agents on their own or have their own teams.
Yeah.
But I had a licensed assistant, and then Will, who was working with me. And then the team just kind of naturally evolved from there.
Mm-hmm. So people now that you work with now have their own teams. Are you on good terms with them mostly now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I want nothing but the best for the people around me.
So when they came on, was there like that expectation? Like, were they upfront about it? Did they kind of decide? Like, how did that transition from being on your team to leaving and starting their own team? Because I know that's a big worry people have, whether it's founded or like unfounded worry or not, of like, what if I get them to be good and they leave? Like, where do you fall on that?
I'm proud,
mm-hmm.
right? I think that's more of a pride thing. I'm so happy that they developed, and really I was hiring the wrong type of person for that role.
Yeah.
I was hiring people that were like super driven and super motivated.
Yeah.
Someone like that's always gonna want to go out on their own and be the rainmaker. But I mean, I want the best for the people around me, so I'm happy and proud of them.
Yeah. And do they build similar businesses to what you have, or have they gone about it differently?
No, so they operate completely differently. But I hope that the things that they learned from me over the years help them with that.
So when you bring on a new team member now, like, is this something you talk about ahead of time? Like, do they want to eventually start their own team? Like, do you have that conversation?
Yeah, so now it's kind of more of like a long-term, I have an end game with the team now.
Yeah.
When I started the team, which wasn't even really a team at the time, I didn't really have a 10-year plan
mm-hmm.
of where I wanted the team to be. Now I do, so I kind of hire people that, are committed to building their business, but also building the business within the team. So I want those people that want to be a part of a larger thing. They want the admin support. They want the lead gen support. They want the financial backing, versus that person that, eventually they want to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, anyone on my team is free to leave whenever they want, and they can take their database with them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, any new clients would stay in the team database, but their existing database would go with them if they ever left.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And where do you guys now, at the level you are, get most of your business from?
So we're about a 50-50 split, if you're looking like big picture.
Yeah.
So about 50% of our closings come from lead gen. So let's say online leads, cold calling, sign calls, like that stuff. And then 50% of our deals come from the referral base. So I have a large network of agent referrals. So I do a lot of agent to agent referrals across Canada. and then sphere of influence and strategic alliances. So that makes up about half, and then half would be cold leads or online leads.
So, because I know like with your online leads, how are you mostly generating those right now?
So we have a Facebook campaign that we're running right now that's specifically targeted towards listing lead gen, which we'll talk more about later because I'm really not good at it.
Yeah. Or are you managing it yourself, or someone on the admin side? Or?
Well, so my operations manager Amanda does it, but I also do it.
Okay.
But I mean, we're certainly not leveraging it the way we could. And then we have a commissioning platform that we use.
Yeah. And how do you find that? Because did you look at the other ones like Boomtown that are out there? Like, what made you go to Sync?
So I looked around, but I'm big on like knowing. I want to know how something works. Yeah. So when I called my network of top producers and kind of ran through what they used, how they liked it, that's really how I did my research. Was just talking to people that are in the business doing it at a high level.
Yeah.
And really, for the way that we want to generate online leads for our purpose, it was the best fit for us.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, because I know like we see it all the time with our clients, like the conversion side of online leads is the biggest struggle people have. Like it's our highest source of turnover of clients is just they can't convert leads when they get them. Yeah. And you have a team working on them. Like, how do you find the right people and then get them good at dealing with online leads?
It's tough. It's tough. And I think one thing that I've had to learn, like I loved cold calling. Yeah. I still love cold calling. I love talking to people on the phone. I love hunting for business. I'm a rare breed. There's not too many people like that. And I had a number of ISAs. So I've had 3 unlicensed ISAs that I've done calls. My team calls. But I haven't found anyone that can do it like me.
Yeah.
So kind of where I see myself going with the team is almost like a team lead / ISA.
Yeah, and setting appointments.
Exactly. So I want to make the calls, convert the leads, and then hand off the appointments to the team.
Makes sense. Now, like, and this is interesting because I've seen you cold call. I've seen you do that. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who seems to enjoy it.
I love it.
I've done it. I hated it.
Right.
I preferred door knocking a bit. I didn't like either one.
Yeah.
But I preferred door knocking to it. But I remember I saw you speak at the other conference where we filmed the original one that didn't work out. I'm like, you make me want to cold call. Like, what's your philosophy? Like, how do you get into the mentality of like, I love calling random people and asking for their business?
I think that's the paradigm shift that I had. So that was my intention when I started cold calling, was I was going to call as many people as I could and ask them like, hey, when are you going to move next? You know, can I sell your house? When are you going to move? You know. Yeah. But what I learned is when you talk to that many people on the phone, you have an amazing opportunity to just make so many people's days.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to people on the phone, like if I'm cold calling you, yes, I have a script, and yes, I have a certain agenda. Like I'm trying to get down to my questions, ask you, who you know can make a move, when are you going to move next, how long you live there. But my end game with that call is just to make you happy. Like I just want you to have a better day because you talked to me on the phone. It's a whole different mindset.
So then that's like your goal, like I just want to make your day better, how do you transition that into appointments?
So I have questions. So my whole script, and I've spent a lot of time kind of dissecting scripts and putting them back together to find one that worked for me. But my end game with my script is to ask you when you're thinking of making your move next.
Yeah.
How long have you lived in that neighborhood for? What brought you to the area? And then if you were to make a move, so I know you're not thinking about moving right now, but if you were to make a move in the future, is there any neighborhood or any type of house that you might want to move to? Maybe a bigger house, a smaller house, a different style of property. That's where you get a lot of the conversion.
Okay.
That's when you get people that are like, nope, we're never moving. We've been here our whole lives. We love the neighborhood. We love our house. Never moving. And then you ask them, listen, I appreciate that, but if you were to make a move, is there any neighborhood or any type of house you might want to move to? Maybe a bigger house, smaller house, different style. And they're like, well, last winter was tough. We're finding it hard to manage the property. If there was a condo townhouse that had lawn care and snow removal provided in this same neighborhood, that's something that we might think of transitioning to. Yeah. And then boom, then you have your lead.
So if someone says they're 2 years out from moving or 2 years or longer, what do you do for those leads who are clearly not anytime soon, but are pretty far out?
So they go into my lead binder. So I have a lead binder, which is just a 3-ring binder, and it's got all the months of the year and all the days of the month. So if I'm talking to you and you say, yeah, you know, we're a couple years out, I try to get the motivation. You know, so what would it be in a couple years that would make you move? Maybe you're thinking of downsizing, or you want a bigger house or something like that. And I say, okay, well, you know, is there anything that I could suggest that you might want to do in those 2 years to your property to maximize your return when you do sell it? And you might say, well, you know, we might want to finish our basement before we do list it.
Yeah.
Boom, there's my cue to follow up. I can call you a year down the road or 6 months down the road and say, hey, Andrew, it's Anthony calling.
Yeah.
I just want to check in. Have you thought any more about finishing your basement? Yeah. I met a guy last week who does phenomenal carpentry. Yeah. He would be a great person for you to talk to. If you need anyone, I have a list of trusted tradespeople. Would you like me to send that to you? So every time we engage, every time there's an engagement with a lead follow-up, I'm just trying to bring items of value to them.
And with the sheer volume of like leads you get, and you're following up with them, once that lead comes in, like, is it always you staying on them, or is like someone else in your team sometimes make those calls, or is it assigned to one person, like they own that lead now?
So right now how it works is when leads come in, whoever engages with them or books the appointment will stay in touch with them moving forward. Yeah. But what I'm finding is I have a lot that I'm converting. Yeah. So I'll stay in touch with them until they're ready to start looking at properties. Yeah. And then it turns out that they only have evening and weekend availability. And so I would hand them off to one of the team.
Yeah. So what hours basically do you work now?
So I work Monday through Saturday most weeks.
Yeah.
I love working Saturdays. That's my day where I get everything done. Typically I don't work on Sundays. Now I say I don't work. I answer calls and I respond to emails, but I'm not actively out there like looking for business or showing homes. But I enjoy working, you know, during the day, like business hours. I will work in the evening every now and again, and then work Saturdays. But where I see myself, because I love spending time with my boys, so I have 2 kids, 5 and 3, and as they grow up, I want to be there, you know, in the evenings, on the weekends, like we want to do cool stuff. So I see me transitioning to something where I'm on the phones, calling leads and booking appointments from like 8:30 till 5:30, Monday through Saturday or Monday through Friday. Yeah. And then handing off the evening and weekend leads to the team to take care of.
So do you have like, this is my window with the boys, like the non-negotiable, I'm here for this section?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I do the same now with my girls, like 5 to 7 every night.
Yeah.
Nothing else happens, but it's like I pick my daughter up at daycare at 5, she goes down at 7, and she's like, that window is mine.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's an interesting fact for anyone that has kids. The 2 most influential times in your children's lives is when they go to bed and as soon as they wake up.
Yeah, and both those are mine right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, now, girls, it might be a little bit different, but like our oldest, Hannah, she's only 2. Yeah. Moana dance party every morning. It's pretty fun. She loves the Where You Are song for Moana to the point of like, if I go in the car with her and I even turn it on, she goes, Moana? Moana? And she won't stop saying that until I put that one song on repeat. Yeah.
In a world with 2 boys, we don't have dance parties, they just beat each other up. Like, constantly.
Well, now that we have the other daughter, like, that'll probably happen at some point, too.
But no, it's cool. Like, I love... So I was telling a story to someone last Saturday. I was calling web leads, and I spoke to this lady who was handling an estate. Her sister had just passed away. So I said, like, listen, I have a great probate lawyer, handles all kinds of estates. Like, do you need any help? She said, no, it's gone through probate. I just need to sell it. I want to get a fair price, but I just want to get rid of it. So I asked her a little bit about the house. So that was at 10:30 in the morning. Yeah. At 2:30, I met with her at the house. At 2:45, I had my clients in the house. And at 3 o'clock, we had an accepted offer.
It's not a bad day.
Right? But I can't imagine being in real estate and not being able to do that. Yeah. Like, there's some people that they want to be the CEO of their team, and they want to coach and mentor and run it, but they don't want to actively sell. Yeah. I can't imagine not being in the deal.
Well, that's interesting because, like, I do this show with a lot of top producing agents, and it's an interesting one when we talk about, like, how much do you still sell? And it's, like, 50-50, right? Like, I would say 50%, they're like that. Like, even if it's a couple deals a year, they still want to do some.
I can't imagine not doing that.
And there's some who haven't done any in a while, and they don't even miss it.
Really?
Like, when I sold, like, I actually loved like I still have them in my head. I was like, they were the most fun we had with the client of like, they wanted one street.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was close to their favorite pub. That's all they wanted. They wanted a house that they could walk to their favorite pub on.
Yeah.
And no house had been up for sale for about 3 years.
Really?
Like, it's a small street.
Yeah.
And in a good location, backing onto a golf course, people didn't sell that often.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to find them other houses that were like similar, but we never found anything. And I door knocked that entire street back and forth. It was probably about 100 homes, like but it's like a long winding street. The third time doing the full door knock, I get a woman at the door. She goes, "Actually, we were thinking of listing it next month. Why don't you bring them through?"
Yeah.
And we ended up bringing them through, and they fell in love right away. And then they were like, it could use some work. Ended up bringing a contract. They did a full reno. And like, I've never seen people happier in their life than like that moment where like, because they brought me back in after the reno to like check it out.
Yeah.
And just like ear to ear smiles the whole time. And I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, like, there's also those buyers that just piss you off.
Yeah. They want either a house way over here, or a house way over here, or this house way down here.
Yeah. Or they're also working with other agents, but they don't tell you about it. Or like, I remember I had one client. It was funny, like, no matter what I told him, he would ask me to book an appointment, and then he would call the listing agent and book the appointment. So there was more than one property, no matter what I said, that I would get there, and the listing would be like, oh no, I have a showing at the same time. My buyer would show up, and we're both showing the property.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to stop doing this. And so at that point, I started calling ahead to the listing agents, being like, if this guy books a showing, it's actually my client.
Yeah.
Like, he's signed and everything. Like, he has this weird thing where he wants to do that. And I'm like, I don't get it.
We're going through this thing right now. So there's a number of growing like online real estate websites in our market where you can just click to book a showing.
Yeah.
So we've had a few recently that have booked showings on our website for properties.
Yeah.
But they've clicked like book a showing on 3 or 4 different websites.
Yeah.
And then like they'll have a 2:30 showing for this house, but there's 3 agents that are supposed to show it to them because they don't remember what website they were on to book the showing. That's happened to us like twice.
That's funny. Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
So with these two, I actually I'm very active in my business. So I called and said, listen, I've been working with this client. They registered on our website. They forgot that they had booked a showing with us. We're already going to go show it. Don't bother showing up.
Yeah, it was that one for me. We were both kind of like when we figured it out because it took us a few. Like I was standing there, he was late. We were sitting there with the listing agent. We were chatting along, and like the more we talked about it, we both realized it was the same person coming, and we're like, oh crap.
But that's not so hard with the listing agent because like the buyer can have their own representation.
Yeah, it was just like one of those weird moments where like, oh, we're both here for the same person, aren't we? Yeah, she was like so excited. She clearly like she was ready to double end it. Like, no. It was like, like even on my end now, like the Facebook ad side, like I still love getting in there and doing it. Like most of it's I actually give to Heidi and let her do. So like Johnny and I come up with a strategy. Heidi actually implements it. Trisha makes sure everything is running. Yeah. But yeah, like I just like getting in there and playing. And like so normally how it works now is I mostly do all like the just sell homes ads. Because I get to test stuff and be a little more creative than I can take risks with some of my clients.
So how do you find that? Because you test it for your brand, and then what the things that you find effective, you then roll out to your clients.
Somewhat, because like we are different businesses. So like overall theories, I do test with myself first, and then we'll take a couple clients and do it. If there's something that like I think of an idea that I'm like, it might not work for me, but this could be great for agents. Yeah. I have a couple clients who are pretty, like Heather Beauchesne and Barry. She literally doesn't care what I do. Like, she's just like, just tell me what it is, so when I get that lead, I know how to respond. But she's like, just test. So like, I've tested so much stuff with her. And like half the time she'll even forget like what the test was. It'll be funny because it'll like start doing it, and she's like, "Oh right, that's the one you were talking about." So like, but we have a few clients like that, and then we have other clients who like they only want to wait until it's a proven system that's gone for them. And there's ups and downs to both of those.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. And like then we have other clients who are like, they only want new things no one else has ever done before. And I'm like,
That must be tough.
it is, because you can never come up with enough ideas.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because everything is new, it's always hit or miss.
But then once something's new once, it can never be new again.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's been running for 6 weeks, it's stale now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but it's working.
Yeah. And I like
Yeah.
so what you said in your presentation today,
Yeah.
that like how long, someone asked how long do you run a campaign for?
Yeah.
And you said until it stops working. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, like why would you just shut one off for
If it's
this-
still generating a ton of
Yeah,
leads.
like literally we had one 14 months, like not a single change to it.
Yeah.
Like I kept seeing like the numbers would start to creep up, and I'd be like, I think this is the week I'm finally gonna have
Yeah.
to change it. And then I'm like, give it a couple more days, and then I'm gonna go back down. And it just kept doing that. Like if we like this was the range of acceptable, it'd keep being like this in that range, but never left that range for a good 14 months.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, and it was seller leads. So we were
Really?
getting them seller leads at that point between like $8 and $11.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm just like, just never stopped. And I'm like, I keep wanting to make changes because it's been so long.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm
it's- it still
I was
works.
like, oh. Then after about 14 months, it crept up. Like 1 week it was at 12, and I'm like, then it went to 13, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like start.
Yeah.
And then the next week it was at like 25, and I'm like, all right, now we're officially.
So
Next one.
what's like your big matrix that you use to gauge the success of your campaigns?
So for us, it's cost per lead.
Okay.
Because
So it's not volume.
no, but well, it can be.
Well, I guess
but cost per
volume
lead is yeah.
factors in.
Because it also depends on the client. Because
Wow.
we do it differently. And so it's like, say like Sync, for example,
Yeah.
and you use like their Google Ads. That's just the Sync system you're using it. There's not a lot of like
Yeah.
hyper customization.
No.
Whereas every time we bring a client on, we do a strategy call, and we'll like dive deep and be like, okay, who's your ideal client? Where are they? Who are they? What's their pain points? And we come up with like a customized plan.
Mhm.
And we always ask, like, do you prefer a higher volume of leads regardless of quality? Or would you rather less leads that are higher quality?
What do people usually say when you ask
They
that?
almost always say less leads at higher quality, but then end up wanting higher volume.
So they want both.
Well, no, it's like you start with the higher quality, and they're like, well, I actually want more leads. I'm
Yeah.
like, we can get you more leads, there's going to be lower quality.
Yeah.
So most end up transitioning to quantity.
Okay.
And then we also do both. So like if you give us a listing,
Mm-hmm.
we average $1 to $5 a lead.
Okay.
Like we can get you as many leads as you want, essentially, if you're willing to pay for
Yeah.
it. And then when we transition at the same time for a lot of clients, we'll run that just to get them volume. And then we'll run separate campaigns that are about like seller leads for higher quality stuff.
What did you say today when you were doing your presentation? There's that gentleman that's spending what a day on Facebook ads?
Oh, like 150,000?
A day.
Yeah. He's actually been on the show.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but he's e-commerce,
Oh, okay.
right? So like he's not in real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that real estate
That's
that'd be insane. But yeah, like he's at that level. Like he's done work with like Tony Robbins. Like,
Okay.
Like he's playing with like those level.
Oh, okay.
like,
Cool.
I think he's like in $25,000 masterminds, and he just goes to those to get clients. Like he's only going to clients where people
Wow.
are paying $25K just to attend.
Wow.
Right, so like he's playing in that sandbox that most people
Yeah.
don't even know exists.
A fun place to play.
Yeah, I don't know, like seeing like, and this is what like I'm in his mastermind,
Okay.
and it's so cool to like when you're talking, because I remember like he'll run 1,000 variations of an ad, but each one's at like $10 a day, and you're like. So I remember one time I was like, so I ran the test, we spent $500.
Uh-huh.
He's like, oh yeah, that's not nearly enough to get any sort of data that's relevant. And I'm like, I spent $500.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. Now the downside of things like that though is when you're working with e-com guys, is it's very different than a local business. Now he has experience with local businesses too, so
Yeah.
like he's better than most. Like there's some e-com guys who they try the same strategies.
Mhm.
In like real estate. So like I've actually talked about it in other episodes too. Like if you're gonna hire someone, make sure they're not just e-com.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not real estate specific experience, they have to have local business experience. Or like even like a coach. Like I find online like people who do ads for like online coaches
Mm-hmm.
can also generally translate it fairly well to real estate.
Yeah.
Because it's similar. Like you're coaching people through the process. Like yeah, it's not completely the same. But like people are hiring you to advise them on a big part of their life. So that ends up being relatively similar.
So I think whenever I look at outsourcing something or hiring someone to do something for the team or for my business,
Yeah.
I'm so like real estate biased that I don't even think about hiring a company that's not real estate specific.
Yeah. I would consider, like, obviously I'm by, like, this is the reason I'm real estate specific, is I know the niche way better than I also came up through it.
Yeah.
So, but there's definitely people who get great success and who never did real estate before. But because, like, what I do, like, for clients, I do for me too, as for my business. Like, the principles work across industry. The difference is, like, because it's so easy to become a Facebook ads guy. Like,
is it easy?
Oh, you take, there's like, literally, like, there's probably 50 different online courses to teach you how to start a 7 or a 6-figure course, like how to be a Facebook ad agency. And, like, it starts with, like, just post saying, hey, I'm learning Facebook ads, can I run it for your business for free for a week just to see what I can do? And they're given the ad campaigns, they're given the funnels, like, they're given everything by this course, and then they just deploy it for people.
Really?
So they get results because someone else has tested it.
Yeah.
Where the problem becomes is the second those campaigns slow down. What's next?
Yeah.
That's where, like, our experience comes in, is we know what to do next.
Yeah.
They're like, oh god, it's not in the course. And then they panic. And they're like, I don't know what to do. So where we've got this rotating stable, we also know if we're building it completely from scratch, we know what we have to do. Like, we figured out those systems, essentially just tweaking the formula for different people.
So now, if you take, like, a proven campaign and you tweak it or renovate it or do something to it, do you then think of that as now it's a new campaign?
Depends on how much we're tweaking it.
Okay.
So, like, sometimes, like, the 14-month one that went on, we actually got another 3 months out of it. We just flipped the image. Just went completely different image. Yeah. Because the image is the most important part for Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So that one, we just flipped the image. And, like, over the next 3 months, we flipped a couple other images in, things like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's as simple as that. Like, and sometimes it's simple as you change the same image to black and white.
Really?
Yeah, like, it's not, like, there's not a huge, like, there's a lot to know in, like, the tricks, but little thing, like, all you're really doing is making it show up differently in their feed.
Okay.
And, like, what's going to get them to stop and look? Black and white, it's one of those things, like, if we've tried everything with the image, everything seems to work, but it's still not going, we just switch to black and white sometimes, and that might be the trick that gets it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I learned from Kuzmich is, you know, he spends $100,000 a day, he can very well test what type of image, like, so it's a lot of fun to do those things.
That's cool. So here's the thing I love about you. So, like, we've obviously spoken now at a few conferences together, but the one thing that you always do is you give everything. You give so much value, and you tell people exactly what to do. Like, there's no secrets. Like, you're not trying to bait and hook people into buying your product. Like, you just tell them how to do it.
Like, most,
it's awesome.
Well, it's funny too, is, like, most of my sales calls now is actually talking people out of hiring us. Because I'm like, it's probably not going to be a great fit. Like, because you can, like, I know for the most part when talking to people now if they're going to be good with online agents. Like, I've talked to enough agents, I know which ones they'll do well for. And I'm not interested in a client take their money for 3 months until they quit and go away.
Yeah.
Like, I want people who are going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like, I spend more time doing that. So, like, it's going to work out because, like, in the new year, we're actually going to launch a new program that'll be like a membership where it's more teaching people and giving them all the tools to do it themselves, but at, like, even another level.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, so, like, that, I'm really excited about that launch because I think that's, like, a good segue for people.
Have you given, like, a little teaser on that? Because you were telling me a little bit about that yesterday.
Not publicly.
No?
But this might not, I don't even know when this will air yet, so it'll be fine. So basically, we'll go to the Wheelhouse now, which is our main group.
Yeah.
Then we'll have the Wheelhouse Elite, which will be the next one up. And they're, like, every month, like, AMA with me, guest expert. So, like, depending on what the topic is, we'll bring someone in. Like, maybe if people want to know about cold calling, we could bring you in, for example.
Yeah, anytime.
And then every month, too, we'll actually do what's called an ad packet. So we'll write an ad, provide images, provide what you should use as the targeting, and, like, basically give you a Google Doc with every single piece you need to run it yourself. But then they have to go run it themselves.
Really?
So, like, and then, like, if you sign up for the year up front, we're gonna just give them my course. Because, like, I have a full course teaching how to do everything we do. if you sign up for a year up front, we're just going to give people the course. And then just to let them know we're serious about providing good value, if they, in the first 14 days, if they don't like it, they can cancel and they can keep the course. So it's, basically my goal in that group is to like over deliver. Like every single piece alone, I want to be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, who knows? Like you never know with groups because they're hit and miss on like engagement and things like that. So you never know how it'll go. But I think this is one that people will like.
And would that be something, so like I have an operations manager that runs most of the day-to-day stuff with my team. Would that be something you would work with like her on, or was it something as the team lead you work with me on?
So, I mean, basically you get like one Facebook account in the group per membership you buy. So just how many do you want? How many people do you want in it? Right? But it's good, like, we don't know what the final pricing exactly will be, but we're going to have a founding members price where it's like if you're in the first group of people, it's going to be $50 a month or $500 for the year.
Okay.
So for teams to bring a couple people in, it's not crazy. Because that's what we're trying to figure out is like, what's that price point where it's almost stupid for agents not to do it?
I was going to say, I'll be your first one.
I already have like 4 or 5 pre-sales. Sorry, man.
If I'm not number one...
You'd be the first team leader with team members.
If I'm not number one, nothing.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I can let you into the group first because I haven't added other people into the group. We're gonna close the deal right here.
I think that's gonna be amazing value for people.
Yeah, because that's where like there's so many people come to us who can't afford the monthly services because like generally speaking, the minimum monthly investment is $1,250. There's not like it's a small group of agents who can afford that.
But they get results.
Yeah, for them now. There's still agents who can't convert. And there's, like, to be completely frank, like, there are a few markets we haven't gotten results in.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple that's hard. And not everyone, like, eventually you'll be able to figure out any market. Cost per lead might be higher, but not everyone wants to wait around until we figure it out.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd say probably about 5% of our turnover is us not getting the results we wanted. And I'd say 5 to 10% after that might be, like, they're just going in a different direction because they didn't like online leads or like clients go through divorce, they got to cut their costs. There's different things like that. But most of it is just they can't close online leads.
Yeah. And I mean, online leads, like definitely like for someone that deals with them a lot, they're definitely not for everyone.
No, and that's why we don't do like yearly contracts. And like you sign up for a company for a year and like 3 months in you're like, I hate online leads. It's brutal now that you have to keep paying for the rest of the year. And
I mean, that's not good for you. It's not good for them.
I don't want to keep people locked in. No. So, like, we do 30 days notice to cancel, and even then I'll waive that.
I think you have a really cool business model.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, we'll never, and it's so different than when we started. So, actually, when we first started, it was percentage of sales.
Really?
Yeah.
So you get like a referral?
No, we did percentage of total sales, whether we found the lead or not.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So the idea behind that was we're going to do everything on, like every single piece that involved digital.
Yeah.
Like we were a partner in your business. And the reason we did not just like the leads you generate, everything was like, say you're door knocking.
Yeah.
And I run a Facebook ad supporting your door knocking.
Yeah.
They message the Facebook ad being like, hey, you door knocked my house today.
Yeah.
Well, is that the Facebook ad
or is the
supporting or is the door knocking? And they're like, when you do it right, there's a lot of bleed between the two.
Yeah, and one thing that I always see, like, if you're busy doing something,
yeah.
the business finds you.
Yeah.
Like that's the best advice that I can give anyone in real estate is if you cold call or if you door knock or if you do open houses, if you're working the business has this weird way of coming back to you. It might not be from the doors that you knock or from the numbers that you dial or from the open house that you do, but if you're actively prospecting for business, the business comes and finds you.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. Like, there's so many different ways to build your business. Like,
there's thousands.
When people are like, oh, I have to be on Facebook, I'm like, you don't. Like, I'm only like a Facebook ads guy, and I will tell people, yeah, you don't need to be on Facebook because it's not for everyone. Like, there's so many different ways you can build. Like, and it's not an age thing either. Like, there's a woman who's my age, and she hates online leads, but only does referral-based business.
Really?
And that's just how she's built it. Like, it's just one way to build it. I think it's a really good way if you do it right, but it's not for everyone. And like even on Facebook, there's 10 different ways you could build it.
Yeah.
Like you could do groups, you could do ads, which is direct response type of stuff. You could do content, like you could do a show like this locally.
No, don't boost
never
posts.
boost a post. Ever.
Don't boost posts.
Yeah, that was actually, like, it's funny when you go to speak somewhere and you're like, how many people here boost a post? Half the hands go up. Stop. Never again.
That was good. You did a great job today.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good one. You did, like, I really enjoyed your keynote. So we're going to actually have you up to my Blue Mountain conference and speak there.
Yeah, anytime. Anything that I can do for you.
We're probably going to do it in July.
Okay.
So we're supposed to get a proposal back from the conference center tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll finalize dates, but then
Yeah, man, definitely.
It's a fun couple days too.
Yeah.
Like it's in Collingwood, Blue Mountain area. So
Yeah,
it's what we actually love about it, because like if you do want an event in like Toronto, is at the end of the event people scatter for the night.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Blue Mountain, you really only go to Blue Mountain Village.
Yeah.
So even if you're not at the same restaurant, like when you're walking around the village, you're like, there's a patio.
Yeah.
Hey, there's that group. Hey, there's that group. Hey, there's that group. And then we'll be like, 8 o'clock, everyone meet here. And then everyone just kind of converges after dinner, and it builds community.
That's what I loved about Kathleen's summit in Muskoka.
Yeah.
Right? It was at the resort.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, it was the resort.
Yeah, you can go back to your room, but you're at the resort.
Everyone was there. Like, there was so much networking and just, like, after-hours masterminding. Like, it was brilliant.
Yeah, like one of the things I really want to do, I don't know if it'll be a 2019 thing just because of the 2 kids under 2. Might be 2020. I want to do like rent a villa in like Costa Rica and like spend half the day learning to surf, half the day masterminding.
Book me to speak there.
Yeah.
Make me your first speaker.
Yeah. But it won't even be speaking. It'll be so like one of my favorite things.
You just have to tell my wife you're booking me to speak there.
Yeah. Well, you're attending to grow your business too. So like one of the coolest setups I've ever had. So we actually did this at day 2 of my conference last year. Is when I do these marketing, the mastermind I'm in, like the online one, they do in-person days every now and then. And so Nicholas Kuzmich, the 100,000 day Facebook guy, like he basically stands up at the front of the room and he puts just like a sheet of paper up on a stand.
Okay.
And he'll start at the first person and be like, all right, what's the biggest problem in your business or life right now that if you solved it today, you'd be like, this is worth me coming here today and spending whatever I spent to get here.
Okay.
You say what it is, he writes it down. And then you go around the room until no one has any problem left to add. Sometimes it's 1 sheet, sometimes you end up with like 4 sheets. And then your day is just crossing things off.
I can think of like 5 pages just in my own mind.
But it's amazing if it's the right group.
Yeah.
But like, you end up literally just going through and be like, all right, so your biggest problem is you're terrible at hiring admin. How do you hire good admin? All right.
Solve it.
And the great thing is, well, like, I'll either stand up there and help solve it, or because it's the right people in the room, like we did the one in Collingwood, like we had Melissa Charlton come up, talk about how they hire, like they're talking about like the disc profile, like she broke down her entire system, but it's people actually doing it. So I want to do that more. Like that's what I would love to do somewhere like Costa Rica, like learn to surf and then come back and do these problem-solving sessions with people.
That's
there's
a
ton
idea.
of value, yeah.
So would you facilitate that, or would you hire a facilitator?
I would probably lead it because I'm not an agent, but it's about finding the right people. So like the way because like one of the problems we found in Collingwood is it was open to anyone, and I mean it was great because people had like great reviews on it, but like here's a solo agent, here's a team lead doing 200 deals a year. We had another person who'd been licensed for 4 days.
Really?
The problems in their business, like when they're
very different.
Yeah. It's like the new agent is just like, I don't even know what to do. The 200 deals like, here's my problem with like hiring an ops manager.
Yeah.
And okay, so when we're talking about solving the ops manager problem, completely irrelevant to her. So we're kind of like, okay, so what if we curated the room a little bit better, almost invite only?
Yeah.
So like we start like, so like say you're in. Well then, okay, like if we're looking at your business, you do 100, 150 deals a year, let's find someone else in that range.
Yeah.
Or who's way past that range, who had the same issues you had back then, and let's start like curating a room of 12 to 15 people with different but similar experiences and problems.
That's a great idea.
And then we just lead the discussion that way.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know like one thing for me, so I do monthly coaching with all my sales agents, and in our November coaching we went through and did everyone's business plan for 2019. And like I don't prompt them, they come to me with their goals.
Yeah.
And like our goal next year is gigantic. Like it's double this year.
It's a good goal to have.
It is, but then I'm like, like, holy shit.
How do we do it?
So, like, this is not me going to them and saying, okay, get 5 more deals next year, get 10 more deals next year. This is them coming to me, telling me what they want for deals.
Yeah.
And then I put it together, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So then something like that would be invaluable, right? It would be amazing because there's people that have done that can say, listen, 125 to 250 is really not that big of a jump if you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, because like what I found, like I've experienced with my business, I know a ton of other agents experience with their business too, is like sometimes you just hit that plateau.
Yeah.
Like you talk to agents, like they'll get up to like 500 grand a year, and they just can't crack that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll like go to someone who's done it, and they'll get past that plateau and they'll jump to like $1 million. But then they'll get to $1 million and be like, then they get stuck at the $1 million.
Yeah.
And then they get past that. And it's just like, so let's find people who either gotten past it or experienced the same problems and you guys can work to get together. So like I want to do another one of like solo agents. Like people just doing really well, but like 30 to 50 deals.
That have no interest in
Like,
having a team. They just want to do it themselves.
Maybe they do.
Okay.
But it's like them and then like they have an admin.
Okay.
But they haven't like brought in other agents. They don't maybe have the systems, but there's just like, they're doing, that 30, 40, 50 deals a year, basically solo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the experiences they would have versus you are completely different. I mean, maybe you come to that one and you can help them type of thing. Because, like, that's the other thing is, like, you bring in the odd guest speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for instance, the solo one, I might bring in you, I might bring in Kathleen.
Mm-hmm.
And let them talk for now and get their brain picked for the people who want to start a team or start those systems. But I think, like... And this is the one I learned from this guy in the mastermind is like, access is better than information. Like, everything I tell you in like speaking here, you can just YouTube or Facebook me talking about it. But I'm here. You can ask questions and you can find out like the nitty gritty details that matter to you. And so like that's what I want to facilitate is the access to more people and the right people. So I think that's way more valuable to like spend time with people.
I like it. I don't know what made me think of this, but something that Kathleen said yesterday, where he said you can't win by listening to the peanut gallery. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good.
Like
and that's you got to surround yourself with the right people.
It's like you go into a Facebook group and you're like, hey, here's a problem I'm answering. There's 20,000 agents in it, and you get 200 comments, but only one person's actually done your problem before, and they're all just like guessing at a solution.
Yeah.
You're like, that doesn't actually help. Like. So, like, one of the things that the masterminds I've been attending that they always say at the start is, like, you're only allowed to answer someone's problem if you've actually had that problem and solved it. Okay. Or you've had that problem and failed with the solution so they can learn from you to not do that.
Okay.
But you're not allowed to just, like, offer advice of, like, interesting, well, maybe you should try this when it's never been done.
Like, I can never give you advice on how to run a Facebook ad.
Exactly. But I wouldn't ask you like to give you advice on cold calling, right? Like that's the type of thing that also has a lot of value. I mean, that's where it's also tough when you're curating the group is you got to be very careful with the personalities you have. So.
Do you think we could do that? So like I'm going on. I get these trains of thoughts, right? I love that. Do you think we could do it like because you're young, I'm young. There's not a lot of people like our age that do a huge volume. Do you think you could do like a mastermind?
Like under 35?
But make it like, or like under 40.
Yeah.
But like it's only for people under 40 that are doing 100 deals or more.
Yeah, if you, like the biggest issue there is
I think that'd be so cool.
You gotta find them. Once you find them, it's not hard to, because like you say that to anyone under 40 have like doing that.
Oh, they'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but it's finding them. So that's where, because it's such a sub niche of a sub niche, that it's tough, and that's the biggest struggle with these type of events.
Yeah.
So like,
I think that'd be really cool to do.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah. All right. Start finding other people.
In Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna rent a villa.
Yeah, people under 40
that
are doing 100 deals or more a year.
Deal.
And we're gonna surf.
Yeah. We've got we'll even get like someone in to train us, teach us how to surf.
And Pam, I'm speaking there. I have to go.
That's true. He's actually the co-host now.
So now I have to go.
Yeah. You can't disappoint the attendees.
Jeez. I'm sold.
Deal.
No, I'd love to come to Blue Mountain next year for sure.
We'll definitely have you up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's a fun Well, obviously I'm biased, but
Yeah.
I think it's a great time.
There was something that I was looking at it this summer, but I went to St. John's, Newfoundland like the week before, and then Korea got me to go to Chicago to the NAR, like the week after. So it would have been like like 3 weeks gone. So I just couldn't swing it.
Yeah, it's tough. So this year we had to move it because normally I do it July. But the week I would have done it was when my daughter was born.
Oh, I can't
so
do that.
I can't do that. And then it's also like Inman's moved earlier into July.
Okay.
So now it's like we're up against Inman. Like not a huge deal, but it's just like another thing where. Yeah, to a degree, but like the percentage of Canadian agents going to Inman, that wouldn't stop them from coming to mine. It's not actually that big.
No.
Bigger deal is it stops me from speaking at Inman.
Yeah. Which you want to speak at Inman?
Yeah, I apply. Like, I've spoken there before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always apply. But
what's your favorite conference that you've spoken at, other than your own?
Generally it's ones with my ideal clients. Like Summit, I love speaking at.
Yeah.
Because it's like a room of team leaders, which is my ideal client. Just from experience, I actually loved NAR in Boston.
Yeah.
This past, but that was just more because it screwed up so badly. It was actually pretty fun.
Did you almost fall?
No, I did.
Or like you half fell?
I basically I was like this low and I caught myself by planting my foot hard. But I tripped on a stand. And
I've never had anything like that. The worst thing that's ever happened to me, I was in Kingston and I was speaking in this it was like a hotel ballroom, and the audio was so bad that everything I said bounced back to me.
I've had that before.
So it was like every word echoed back. And it was like an hour and 30 minutes.
I turn off my mic then, and I just get louder.
Just when?
So, you know Jeff Lobb in the U.S.?
Yeah, I know Jeff.
Yeah, so he ran a speaker boot camp a couple of years ago. I think it might have been 2 years ago now. Maybe a year and a half. But it was 2 days, 15 people, hard boot camp on speaking in real estate. Day 2 was you have to write a 7-minute presentation, but while you're up on stage, I'm going to fuck with you. And it was stuff like that, like mic cuts out, slides cut out, a guy's on his phone in the presentation, and like basically his entire goal is to throw you off your game. And he's like, before you do that, like he runs through like, in this scenario do this, in this scenario do this. If you're speaking in a room with round tables, you should approach it this way. If you're on stage, you approach it this way. And like he gives you all the scenarios, helps you figure it out, and then just tries to mess with you, and you got to do it. And like one of them was that, like the feedback loop, or it's like the way they do the speakers. Like if you stay like outside of this little area, it causes feedback that way because you're getting too close to the speaker, and more an issue for women. And it's actually one that's at the summit here. Is the way a lot of stages is it's like panels, but there's gaps.
That stage is bad for that.
Like that stage, a woman basically should not go on unless they're wearing flats.
Yeah, you couldn't wear heels.
You'd almost have to tell them all ahead of time, wear flats or take off your shoes to go on, or like literally you have to watch every step.
The one thing I found about that stage is it was so wide.
Yeah.
Like for the size of the room, the stage was massive.
Yeah. Well, she doubled it because I think it was the regular size they made, and it was like too small.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, do it, and they doubled the size, but now it's like a football field.
So normally I like to go like side to side to engage, to keep the whole room engaged.
Yeah, 10,000 steps while
you're doing it. Like I ran 5K this morning. I'm gassed.
Yeah, I've done that. Like, well, that was the funny one about the one in Boston is it was a live demo, so I was supposed to be at my computer going through it, but then the internet or the hardline failed, Wi-Fi failed, backup Wi-Fi failed, and 3 hotspots failed. So to like keep up the energy, I now had to do a live demo from memory with nothing on the screen.
Oh.
So I started like walking around to do that, and because it was built for the live demo, it was not set up for me to really walk around, trip and hit it.
And fall.
Yeah, and like
that's amazing.
But that was one of like the best feedback I've ever gotten from a session.
Yeah.
But it was entirely just because they're like, I got messages saying this, like if I had to do that, I would have blacked out and fainted. Like I could not have handled every single thing that went wrong, and then you fell. Amazing. And then when I fell, my mic fell off. And it just kept, it's like another thing after another thing.
Kept going and going.
Yeah. I knew the content. Like, I mean, there's no way to say it humbly, but I don't think anyone knows Facebook ads for real estate more than I do. Like, there's people definitely at my level, but I don't think there's really people who know more.
No.
So yeah, it's I know the content.
David said you are the real estate Facebook guy.
Yeah,
because he started saying one of the, but then he changed it, said the.
Yeah. Well, I think in Canada, like definitely.
Yeah.
You get into the U.S., there's some pretty good Facebook
Big
ads
players.
guys in real estate, but it's not like there's like that one guy I'd be like, okay, he's better than me. But definitely.
Do you find that Canadian real estate agents, because this is big for me, like I struggled a lot with Sync because it's not Canadian.
That's every U.S. platform that comes here.
Yeah.
There's always these differences that just don't work, and there's these little changes. Like that's actually a major selling feature for us with a lot of people here is you understand the Canadian market.
Yeah. See, I think I always lean towards Canadian specific.
Yeah. And that's so like like you're looking at all these U.S. companies, like even Canadian companies charge in U.S. dollars because they charge in U.S. theirs. I go the other route. I specifically charge Canadian. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
It was a lot of fun.
Anytime.
Nice having a beer with your coffee.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Let's book it.
Yeah, it might not be 2019, but it's like
maybe like 2025.
No, way sooner than that.
Way sooner than
it's
that?
happened. This isn't like I want to do it. Like
Okay.
it's just 2 kids under 2 right now. It's hard to convince my wife
ya.
that 2019 is gonna go to Costa Rica.
I hear ya.
But so I know this guy who came to one of my masterminds. He actually now has business. Right now he's doing it for himself, where he takes like 20 people to Costa Rica. He's got a chef, villa. Everyone stays together. Like his is more like mindfulness and health. So like do like yoga, then they do like stuff like that. But he's got it set up. And now what he's doing is he's starting to do business in January, basically selling that setup to people like me, where I just have to get people to come with me and bring the content.
And they book it all.
Yeah, so he handles where you're staying, he handles the chef who's going to cook all your meals, and all those details he will handle. So all I have to do is be like, hey, Fark, I'm coming with 15 people.
Book it.
Yeah, and he's like, he'll have his price per person. I can sell mine for whatever I want.
That's wild.
So like if his price is like $1,000 a person, I'll charge 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. Be like, let's go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that takes a lot off my plate of like, all of a sudden this is a very
we should really do that.
No, I am like I'm really doing this. This isn't just a pipe dream. This is it's really gonna happen once I'm able to realistically go away for that long. Ideally would be like say I'm there for a week, it's like 3 or 4 day mastermind and the rest of the time I'm with my wife or something.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. That's how you can convince your wife too.
Bring her along.
I'll bring my wife the 3 day, 4 days of the mastermind surfing.
Yeah.
They can hang out and like do spas and do stuff like that, and then we'll work.
Okay.
And then right off the trip.
Deal.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Man,
thank you very much.
Anytime.
It was a great time. And let's go do some nighttime networking.
Okay.
Done.
Done.